I'm documenting this video in the event that it is downloaded as evidence for the FBI.
In a chat going back, I said, hey, July 2nd, hey guys, I need your help cleaning up some of this. There's a lot of customers that were owed a lot of money. Because they wanted a press release of me taking over the company, and why wasn't this press release done sooner? And I said, guys, I need your help cleaning up some of this message you guys created that I was unaware of. Essentially Cohen replied, LOL, that's not going to happen, or that's not going to happen, LOL. And I said, look, and he goes, and there shouldn't be one person that thinks that I'm still a member of this company. Well, why is that going on? I said, well, this is a summarization. I said, well, while you're still worried about, people thinking you're part owner, I'm trying to clean up your asset management fraud. Technically, the term is conversion fraud. Now, conversion fraud is, and Philip replies, now this is a summarization again, not a quote, but you're trying to imply that there's a difference between having the money to pay people back and intentionally defrauding someone, which is 100% true. And he said, which is what you're trying to imply. And where I would reply is the fact that if you know what you're doing, if you know that you're taking people's inventory back to the warehouse, and either one, you're reselling it, not paying the client, or two, it just disappeared and you're not fulfilling it, there is a problem there. And when you're using my name on a form, when my name is being listed down as a liquidation form for something that's going back to Smart Wholesale, and you have me and everyone else under the impression that you're taking care of it and paying these people, and you're not, why would you have a file that you deleted that wasn't shared with me before taking over the company of all of the people that we owe money to, especially if you know that another owner is going to take this on and try to fix this? Why would this not come to light sooner? Why was this not at the forefront? Why was this not on the company books? And so essentially I brought this up and said, hey, I need you guys to help me out with it. LOL, that's not going to happen. I said, okay. And you can say, yes, I can say Philip's correct, that there is a very big difference between intentionally trying to defraud someone and just not having the money to pay them. That's true. However, if something's been going on for 8 months or 6 months or whatever, without going into specific details, if you know that it's been going on for months and you're not paying back the customers, okay, if you didn't resell their inventory, where did the inventory go? And if you did resell the inventory with a promise to pay and never paid them,
why can't you stay organized? I've experienced this myself, and it's called chronic impulse control, where you prioritize short-term act.
Why was the file deleted? And why wasn't that client paid? And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know, and how many, hundreds of thousands of dollars I was faced with dealing with that. Yeah, it's sad too, man, because we've got a lot of good people, man. We had a lot of really good clients too, man. We've got a lot of really good people. And we have a lot of good employees too. And it sucks because I care about every client, right? And even some of the clients that even aren't our clients anymore, they're like, man, with you, I just don't think I would have ran into any of these problems, man. I would have, and they're right, because I do what's right 100% of the time. Not when it's just convenient. I do what's right all the time.
And what would you have changed then when you got involved in the business? What are some things that you and either they could have done to prevent a situation from getting to a place where it's literally beyond reproach?
Well, I would say that, for example, if you know you're taking customers' inventory back and hoping things are going to get better, and you have my name on it as a promise to pay, and you're getting the inventory back there, okay, once, twice, maybe a couple months of it, you didn't know, I understand, okay? But at that point in time, I probably would have laid off my best friend. I probably would have been paying my best friend. And actually, he did decrease his salary, right? But I probably wouldn't have been paying my best friend. I probably would have tried to cut waste, in other ways. I would have tried to cut waste in other ways to be able to make right on what was done wrong, or to make whole those people that put in their inventory. If they sent your inventory back with a promise to pay, a liquidation, and you're supposed to pay them, after a few months, whether you sold their inventory or resold their inventory, whether you didn't, whether it disappeared, I don't know, right? But at the end of the day, if these people if there's a huge list of people that haven't been paid, only the payment. I think I've paid $124,000 worth of people on that list alone. That's another list. And so, yeah, exactly. And so I do what I can to take care of everyone. But I think that going forward, going back in their situation, if you know that you can't correct something and it's getting worse, you stop it. You stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? You stop doing, if you know that you can't pay somebody, you don't keep taking their product back. You change the operation, right? Even if it's inconvenient, right? You have the staff say, hey, look, we can't do any more liquidations at this time. Stop taking the inventory back and either reselling it to someone else and not paying them, or just stop taking it back. Either way, whether you resold it, whether you didn't resell it, that's up for debate. But at the end of the day, if you know you're not paying people back for inventory that you're taking, that's wrong. It's unethical. There's a lack of integrity there. And the fact that I'm dealing with all of it and I brought it to your attention and you decided to, laugh about, LOL, that's not going to happen. Okay, we'll see.
It's always just a matter of time, right?
Correct. Because, at the end of the day, what I'm doing here isn't done with any malicious intent. But you know who you are, you know what you did, and you know what you did to clients and their inventory, and it was unethical in my personal opinion, and I want to make it right.
Now, Scott, tell me, what is the key role of both CEO and a business? Because it sounds like, many people, you've been around the business world for a long time, like myself, people turn around and they get caught up in ego, pride, and then wanting to be seen, and let's go show the lavish lifestyle. But a business's function is to function like a business and to take care of its consumers, customers, clients, etc.
Correct.
Where did they drop the ball? Where do you think they failed looking back at really keeping the business at the forefront of all of their thoughts?
Well, I think it was, in my personal opinion, I think it was for personal gain, right? I think, and the job of the CEO, as you mentioned, is to create shareholder wealth. I'm bringing in the clients, right? I'm bringing in the clients, So if I'm bringing in the clients and I'm helping you create the shareholder wealth, okay, that's great. But the job of the business, I think, where did they go wrong? I think that they went wrong by focusing on short-term gains and how they can win and just get out versus trying to fix the problem and deal with, there's a lack of integrity. I would call it the lack of integrity, in my opinion. I would call it a lack of integrity because, integrity is not always doing what's right or what's easy, right? And it's easy not to say anything and just get money back from people and then just close down the business. But I wasn't going to do that, and I didn't want to do that. I refused to do that, right? I also didn't know the scope of the situation. But if I did know the scope of the situation, it wouldn't have got to this point. But it was hidden from me.
So what was your hope when you took on this burden in terms of responsibility to making sure that everybody kind of got a fair chance?
Yeah. When I took on the company, I didn't know that it was in such financial situation. I had no idea because the information was deleted. I got proof of that too. I've got all the screenshots and everything else. So I didn't know that the situation was in such a bad situation. After I found out about it and they refused to help me with it, I was hoping that, that through lots of prayer and lots of hard work that I would be able to turn it around for all my clients. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful. And I hate to say that. I did fix, I fixed probably at least $1 million of it. But that's a lot for anyone to swallow in 6 months.
If you're thinking of going back to school to get a new job so you can earn more, don't do it. You don't need.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
And so when you basically became the CEO or the person who's basically completely in charge, what were some of the employees' reactions to that? And what were their thoughts when the power shifted to just you having sole proprietorship?
Yeah. So when I became, I was CEO of the company before, but I just was outvoted or not included in all the other decisions, right? When I took over the full thing, I had people working against me, and I have chats of them working against me, which I showed you earlier.
Oh,
And, essentially, like literally employees conspiring with, now I can't prove that it's with them, but their name is in it, right? Essentially conspiring with them to from the smallest things. Not that I need to get into that details for this series yet, but I was shocked because here I am taking out loans to try to save my staff because they're, hey, Mr. Scott, I've got a family. Mr. Scott, I've got a family I'm trying to feed. Is my job safe? Yes, your job's safe. Your job's safe. I'm going to do everything that I can for you. Don't worry, man. They got their families and all this. But then all of a sudden you realize that the same people you're trying to help are over there feeding them information. At the same time, one of them is sharing the leads list with himself to his private email and then deleting it from the files, from the corporate files or the liquidation sheet. Stuff like this. So, yeah.
So these people pitch you their stress, their challenges, the need to have a job and be employed. At what point is it no longer about the people, but more so about you and making sure that you're kind of like doing yourself in?
Well, unfortunately, I have sacrificed my health, my family. I have sacrificed time with my family. I sacrificed my daughter's college funds to try to save everybody. I have sacrificed my credit. I have sacrificed beyond belief. Like literally, might even have to declare bankruptcy. I've actually already submitted the paperwork, to be quite honest with you. And I don't want that to happen, and I don't want that to be part of it. But I have given everything that I can and more. I haven't been paid, and I'm still giving everything that I can and more. And, at the same time, while these other people walk away, forgive the term, scot-free. And in the agreement of me taking over the company, they are actually supposed to be held liable for this stuff. So, anyway.
Anything prior issue that they created, it's their responsibility to solve for the problem.
Yeah, anything legal, they're supposed to solve it. They're held liable for it. Any business debts, I can go into the entire agreement. But essentially, they weren't allowed to compete with us. There's a non-compete in place. And come to find out, they shared the leads list with themselves and then deleted it from the company. And then turn around and I've got chats from their own website where they're trying to, and when you go to the website, it doesn't look like they're competing us, but they're reaching out to our employees, which I have chats of. And why would you reach out to Amazon employees that work on Amazon to work for you? And then I've got actual chats from your own website that say, oh yeah, we do Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Shopify, Macy's liquidations, and private label. But you're in a non-compete and yet you're still doing it, right? So you shared our leads list with yourself, right? Which is a company asset, which you weren't supposed to do, and all kinds of other company assets, by the way. Like the OA leads list. Like you took the OA leads list and shared them beyond your tenure, and we're paying tens of thousands of dollars for these OA leads lists that you set up. And you know who I'm talking about. And then you turn around and you shared them beyond your tenure. And I have chats from the other automation companies and screenshots of all the chats about how you did it. And I have where the files were actually shared to. And I have the dates that they were shared to. And I have the times that they were shared to. So there's a lot of this kind of stuff that it just became too much, man.
I can only imagine. Now, in this, as things are falling apart, man, what's one of the things you learned about yourself, man?
I learned I am hard-headed. Not that I didn't already know that, but I realized that I don't know when to give up. I don't know when to throw in the towel. And maybe that's the Viking in me. I don't know, right? But I don't know. I just don't know when to call it quits, right? And if I say something, I put the cross on my back and I just get it done, right? And I do everything I can for my clients or the people that trusted in me. And go ahead.
So do like this in whatever way you want to eloquently do it, but walk them through. Again, now we've kind of told a little bit about case in point situation, and we're still being kind, which is a good thing because some people don't deserve that. But walk them through why people shouldn't do business with these type of people. Now, names or no names, who are you looking for? What are you looking for in a person to know? Don't fucking deal with these kind of people.
Yeah. Well, people talk a big game, and one of them is a really big talker, and he sounds really slick, right? There's a lot of these people out there, right? And I would be very careful at who you do business with. Now you're asking, how do you know? Essentially, you wouldn't do business with these kind of people. I'd say you'd have to really get to know them. And once you get to really know them, or you look at other businesses they were involved in, probably reach out to how those other businesses were run, right? I can tell you this, if you reach out to me, I'll tell you how this business was run before I came on, and before I took over the whole thing. And I got a lot of documents that I probably will share in another series coming up here. And if it's facts, it's not defamation, and it's not slander, and it's not libelous. So I've got a lot of other documents that I'll be sharing here really soon.
There you have it. There you have it. Roger, we're gonna get into those details, man. So what are the top 3 things someone should look for in a business partner, business associate?
Honesty, integrity, and work ethic, man. You got if they don't provide value, I say providing value, which is something you always talk about too, man. If they don't provide value, and here's the thing, even if they provide value, but if they don't have honesty and integrity, they're not worth messing with from the very beginning. I thought one of them had honesty and integrity. And then as we got in and the company starts making more money, I see these big egos and big heads coming on. And it wasn't there previously. Their mind states start to change really quick. They forget who they are and why they started, right? Which a lot of times I think money is kind of like alcohol in some ways. It doesn't change people's character. I think it just reveals who they really are. So,
crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. It's 100% crazy because none of this had to happen.
Are you ready to see your brand on TV? Your competitors will wish they had known about Vibe. With Vibe, you can launch targeted TV and streaming ad campaigns using our powerful platform that combines simplicity with deep market insight.
And I hate this for 1, for our clients, 2, for our staff, and 3, for my own family, man.
And what are the things that you would have done different? And let me be very clear. Imagine if they just walked you through, hey, we've got $15 million problem, 14, whatever the number is. We've got this big of a problem. This is our issue. This is problems we created. I'm going to give this to you, but I want you to be aware of what battle you're really fighting. Because we're going to get out like, why do you think it's so hard? People just be honest about it.
I think that they wanted, in my personal opinion, I believe they wanted a fall guy.
Ooh.
I think they wanted a fall guy so they can say actually, I've got the chats from one of them on another one that they sold a 8-figure automation company. So they can say they sold this thing, right? So that they can, look good for their friends on social media, right? So I think that that's it. I think that they wanted to look good. And if they would have told me and were honest with me and upfront about the situation of the company, I would have never taken it on. I was just because I know, not because I didn't want the challenge, but because of the fact that I understand the scope of what I'm able to do with how much budget I have, right? If I know that it's, 200, 300,000, or I just need to put in ads, like I thought I'd just jump in Google ads and I'm golden. And I was prepared if it's 200,000 or 300,000, I was prepared financially for that, right? $200,000 or $300,000 is a lot of money, but I was prepared for that financially. Okay, great. Right. So, when I had spoke to them too, just throw Google ads in it and you're good, man. The company runs. And then I turn around and I find liquidation sheets. Wait, hold on. And matter of fact, Taylor sent me this earlier. And so before I came on, essentially so he said, I don't know if this means anything to you or not, but there's a whole lot of unfulfilled manifest issues going back before you started from the previous year of May and March of last year. So, I'm literally sitting here looking at it right here. And he just sent it to me. So there were manifests before I started in June of 24. There were manifests that weren't fulfilled according to this text message, which I haven't had a chance to verify or validate, right? But that had not been fulfilled since the previous year.
Well, what is a manifest?
So that's great. So a manifest is when somebody buys inventory. When someone buys inventory, their inventory is updated on a manifest. So essentially, a manifest is like a whole sheet of what you bought. So essentially, when you buy a bunch of inventory, you got a bunch of SKUs, what you bought, your receipt is in an Excel spreadsheet. It's called a manifest. So you have a receipt of what you bought. So when I came on, I had no earthly idea so according to this text message, which I haven't had a chance to validate, he's looking into the issue now. But before I came on, there were manifest problems with clients. and that hadn't got their inventory since March of the previous year. So I took over full control in 2024, June of 2024. There were people from 2023, March of 2023, so more than a year prior, that hadn't got their inventory. So when I came on, I'm over here bailing that out, okay, fixing those problems. Then they had their friend or coworker reach out to clients to tell them to stop buying inventory. So now it's harder for me to get inventory in bulk, to negotiate better deals, to be able to fulfill client stores, right? You get the point. So at the same time, there's a bunch of clients that were liquidated that I didn't know about as well. And so it's good that this comes to light. I can't wait till we start showing some of the documents and some of the chats. That's going to get really good.
There you go. Well, Scott, we know that this is an uphill battle, but there's nothing like telling the truth.
Agreed. Honesty and integrity.
And those things we move away from as a society. And it's a shame when someone takes advantage of people like you who want what's best for everybody.
Correct. I want what's best for the clients and for my own family, right? It was unethical. If you know that if you take somebody's inventory or money because they trust you and you don't pay them 1 month, 2 months, okay, all right. But you stop taking other people's inventory if you haven't paid the original people. Okay, so you wanted to really hope. You hope that it's going to get better. Okay, great, 3 months, 4 months. Okay, maybe we should stop this. But when you get into 6, 8 months of this stuff, and then you don't tell me and you delete the files, and I got tons of files that were deleted. I mean, over 8 gigs of files alone were deleted. And I went through all of them. And you know what the crazy thing is that they didn't realize is when they deleted one of the files, you know what was called? Mortgage reimbursement. Now, why would you have mortgage reimbursement on a Google Drive for a company file? Wow. And you want to hear the crazy part about this? Here's where it gets good. Well, guess what? When you delete something on Google, on the Google Drive, it can be recovered. Yeah.
That's a good way to end this part. That's another good 20.
Most people have no clue that in 2024, the best way to make money with Amazon is not with physical products.